Hello, everybody. You're very welcome back. I hope you all had enough coffee. Good. Okay, I'm Charles Mahoney. I'm a lecturer in the School of Law, and you're very welcome to this mid-morning session on access to justice. And as you have been hearing yesterday and today, the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities provides clear instructions to state parties on how different categories of rights outlined in the Convention relate to people with disabilities. And if you take a look at the Convention, which I know you all have, you'll see that the rights are contained in Articles 9 to 30. And the founder of the Centre here for Disability Law and Policy, Professor Gerard Quinn, he usefully categorised those over 20 rights into 5 groups. The first group being the rights to protect the person. The second category of rights are rights that restore autonomy, choice and independence. The third group, rights of access and participation. The fourth category, liberty rights. And the last category, economic, social and cultural rights. And really what we're going to be discussing here today is Article 13, which falls into that third category of rights, rights of access and participation. And essentially what Article 13 does in the UN Disability Convention is that it complements those range of other access rights, which include Article 9, general rights of access, Article 29, the right to participate in political and public life, and Article 30 on participation in cultural life, recreation, leisure and sport. And really what Article 13 on access justice does, it animates the right of access in the context of justice systems. And this holds really important consequences for state parties, people trying to access the justice system. And we know from the research in Ireland and in other jurisdictions that in terms of access to justice, people that need access to the justice system the most, disabled people, face the most amount of barriers when they are seeking to access either the civil or the criminal justice system. And really to understand Article 13 is to understand the interdependence of rights. And that's been very clear in the jurisprudence of the Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disability, that access to justice relates and interconnects very much so with a range of other rights across the 5 different categories in relation to specific protections for women and children, non-discrimination, awareness raising, accessibility, legal capacity, protection from arbitrary detention, freedom and abuse, independent living, legal capacity, and so on. So it's a really important right. It's really a gatekeeper right that's very important to access and enjoy a whole host of other rights. And I'm really looking forward to our three distinguished speakers' reflections on their work and their expertise on access to justice and advocating for that. So we have a lineup here, everybody's about 20 minutes to speak, and then we'll have enough time then for questions and answers. And our colleague Maria Walls is a very strict timekeeper, so she's going to keep everybody on track. So our first speaker is Sita Sa, and Sita worked with the Blind Women Association of Nepal for many years, and she started a new job recently where she's the program officer for the Disabled Society in Janakpur, which was established in 1999. It's a non-political, non-profit, rights-based organisation that focuses on supporting disabled people in Nepal. Sita's got a very long biography, a huge amount of experience, so I don't have time to speak to all of it, but you can see our full profile in the programme. So I'm going to hand you over to Sita, who's going to speak for about 20 minutes, and then we'll go on to our next speaker, which will be Bruno, and then Abu then, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. So thank you.
Okay. Hello. Am I audible to you all? Thank you. Thank you for confirming. And I will request you all to give me audio whenever you are unable to understand my means whatever I am trying to say, whatever I am to means make you to understand. And I also want to get input from you all. Means in terms of whenever I want like if any inputs from your side, like because you should not shake your head and shake your hands instead of giving answers, so I will not be able to see that, right? Am I clear? Thank you so much. Okay, so do I need to introduce again? No, right? Okay, anyway, if I'll say in Nepali, namaskar, namaste, and good morning. I think good morning, right? It's not 12. Okay, good morning, one and all present here. And Nice to meet you all, and thanks. I would like to thank to Disability Summer Law School team for providing this wonderful opportunity to me. Thank you for inviting as a panelist, and thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity, and thank you for insisting lots of thank, which is not measurable. Thanks to my parents who has come till here, who has made me to attend this program. I will have to really thank to him who has provided his precious time to make me to become a panelist. So could you please just clap for him, so he will also feel. Okay, thank you all. And then let's go to. I want to get into the point. Before getting into the point, as already moderator, he has explained that I'm from Nepal and I'm Sita Shah, and I belong to Sirhat district, Nepal. And before, I was working as a project assistant of Blind Women Association B1 for 2 years. Later, I switched on to Disabled Society Janakpur DSJ as a program officer. Since 2 months, I'm working there. And in sector of access to justice, also I have done lots of advocacy work. That much experience I do have. Okay, so let's switch on to the topic. So I would like to ask whoever wants to answer, what would you like to say? Means, do you want to means give short brief about means access to justice? What do you understand by access to justice? Any one of you, just can you say? Any one of you? Could you please? What do you understand by access to justice in your point of view? Going to court. Next. Sorry? I couldn't. Yeah, your voice is too slow. Not able. Yeah. Okay. So creating path for justice. That's what you are trying to say for women with disabilities. Any one of you? I want to take one more. Sorry, I'm. Okay, so just try to speak slowly. I'm from Nepal and I'm not able to catch your words due to, miss, you are speaking very fluently and my English is not that much fluent. And even my level of understanding is also not that much fluent. So I'm really sorry for that. Okay, so thank you. You all are right, whatever you have told. Actually, access to justice in terms of women with disabilities. What do you think that disability? Will you break disability? This means what? Please. This means what? This or no? Only give me the meaning of this. What is the this? This means unable. Ability means this ability means we don't have any ability. We don't have any ability. We can't walk, we can't see, we can't eat, we can't do anything. Right? Right? Is it like that? What do you think? What is disability? What is disability? We are fully disabled. We can't walk, we can't complete our task. Is it like that? No, right? So then what? Disability is something that it's a barrier of performing some task due to disability, which I can see. Disability means our vision is disabled, right? Something working action, taking action through which we can take action, that our organ is disabled, right? So that's why we are disabled. That's why we are known as a disability, right? Am I clear? Okay. So, like that. Women with disability, we each and one of you, including me, we need to get equal access to justice. Am I right? For that, first thing, in sector of uh, economic, in sector of employment, in sector of like accessing uh, fundamental rights or any kind of rights, do we need to have equal justice? Do we need? Yes. Yes. Okay. So before entering in this meaning, let's do one thing. I will make you understand what is access to justice. Okay. So please, I will instruct you all to close your eyes. Uh, each one of you, please close your eyes. Okay. Then take a long breath. Hold for a while and leave it. One more time. Take a long breath. Like you will have to take a long and deep breath. Hold for a while and leave it. One more time. Take a long breath. Hold for a while and slowly leave it. Okay. Now, just put your both hand like this on your thigh, like this. Just combine your both fingers like this, and two hands keep on your thigh like this, and close your eyes. Keep your backbone straight, and just try to imagine whatever I'm saying. Okay, just I'm giving you one scenario. One bird is there. Okay, that bird is completely injured. Why it is injured? Because hunter, he has hunted and it has fallen down from the tree. Just imagine, try to connect with my thoughts, whatever I'm trying to make you to think about it. Do not listen other words, other voices, whatever sound is coming towards you. Whatever you are able to hear, just ignore it. Okay. So that bird, it has fallen down just in front of you. It has fallen down. Okay. So it is completely injured, unable to walk. It is fully blooded. And does it need help? It needs, right? So actually, it is trying to come towards you to get help, to get treatment, because it is completely injured by a hunter. Okay. So slowly it is moving towards you. It is dragging its body and moving towards you. Dragging its body, moving towards you. Just feel its light. That's it's begging its life with you. Just moving towards you, trying to beg its life with you. Just feel it. It has come very closer to you. You are really impressed and you are really feeling that, yes, I'll have to provide justice to it. Just feel it, think it, and just feel it that it is completely injured, fully blooded, and it we need to rescue it. Think it. You think you are fully surrounded by its light. That light is touching you. Okay, come out from the thoughts. Then, 3 times. Take a long breath. Hold for a while. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold for a while. Slowly breathe out. Again, breathe in. Hold for a while. and slowly breathe out. Rub your both hands and put on your both eyes. Then open your eyes. If you have understood about access to justice, what it need actually, just write on piece of paper. And if you have not understand anything, just you can ask question later to me, okay? Okay, so it was also about access to justice. That word means woman with disability. I was trying to connect what I was trying to connect that I'm saying now, but what you have understood now from my means whatever uh, description I had given. So later you will have to give me input of that. Okay. Okay. So now the thing is that bird was as a woman with disability who was completely injured. Where like when I was in Nepal, one speechless woman with disability who was begging on the road, who was not having any house to stay, and she was sleeping on the road. She was begging on the road, eating on the road, sleeping on the road, right? And every day she was getting raped by people in front of police station, and police and all the authorized person of police station, they were just seeing that, but they were not taking action against that. They were not feeling that I should provide justice to her. Did they feel? Yes, no?
No.
No, right?
No.
Did they feel that she is also part of human being?
No.
No? Do they have disability?
No.
No. Means police, those who are unable to take action against this, right? Even though they are able to see that always she is getting raped, right? And once in a year, always she is getting baby from different people, right? And even though those police are able to see that cases and unable to take any action against those people, right? And again, unable to rescue that girl. That means what? Are they disabled? Or that girl is only disabled? Give me the answer. What is that? What is that? They are also, even though they don't have disability, their disability are what? Invisible. Is it? Is it? What kind of, how many types of disabilities are there? 10 types, more than 10 types. I think so, right? Some of are invisible, some of are visible. So those people are having what kind of disability? Invisible disability.
Invisible.
Right? Invisible disability. That's why they are unable to take any action against that case, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So in this, likewise, if I will say you, many women with disability, girls with disabilities are facing such kind of problems, such kind of challenges, not only in Nepal, maybe everywhere. If I will say, if you will not consider me wrong, if I will say this, right? It might be happening everywhere, right?
Yes. Yes.
We are unable to justice that. We are unable to note that, right? But it is happening everywhere. Even who are those who are unable to able to see, able to do all work, able to perform all tasks, they are also involving in that cases, even though they know it is wrong, right? So
Yeah.
I want to now I want to talk about in terms of economic justice. if you talk about economic justice in our Nepal also, there is ATM, braille. In some of places you will get braille description, means strict on ATM, and even though such kind of facilities are available now, in some cases we are also able to use what is that app? Types of mobile applications. Yeah, you are right. Mobile applications are also we are able to use, right? Okay, so then still we are unable to get loan. We are unable to, means avail such kind of rights like property, right to uh, right to property. That persons with women with disabilities are unable to get that property rights, unable to access these economic rights. Still means they will have to get nominee from their parents, from their surroundings, and they'll have to handle their account. They are not allowed to means handle account independently. But in my cases, I also fought for myself and I have got this opportunity to handle my account on my own, right? So in terms of employment, it's very tough to get employment opportunity. People are unable to trust our ability. People are unable to, even they are not willing to see that what can we do or what we can't do. There are some limitations within us. Those limitations they are not able to understand. They are not trying to understand. They are not trying to make us participate in their NGO, INGO, in their company. They are feeling that person with disability, women with disabilities, they may take lots of time to perform tasks, to complete tasks. Instead of hiring them, we will complete our each and every work on our own. Why should we prioritize them? They are thinking in that way. So they are not prioritizing us. In Nepal, you can see many men and women with disabilities are still begging on the road, singing on the road. So their such kind of cases are very horrible, very touchy, and we are unable to fight for that still. Okay, so in terms of social justice, cultural justice in cultural sector, are they able to include us? No. In social activities, are they able to completely include us? No. In terms of education, are we able to get accessible education? No. Means access, they are including, they have made inclusive education, they have brought that law, but still what they should do is, in my point of view, each and every people, they should prioritize inclusive education. And inclusive education means they will have to train teacher also, and they will have to bring some changes in education system also, right? In education system means they will have to start curriculum activities uh, since class 2, class 3. So children with disability, they will start understanding about disability. They will start understanding that what person with disability can do or what they can't do, right? That's how uh, access to justice we can access, right? And that's how it will become inclusive and meaningful justice we will be able to get. Thank you. Thanks for providing this opportunity. And you feel free to ask me question. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks very much, Sita. I think we'll take questions at the end. That was really wonderful. Our next, actually, I meant to ask you to introduce yourself with a fun fact. Would you like to give us your fun fact?
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sorry for that. Actually, if you talk about fun fact, uh, basically, I love to sing. I love to sing Nepali Hindi song, and I love to surf net in free time. And I also love to write poems and all in free time. That is my fun fact. That's all.
So,
Thank you.
thanks, Sita. So, Sita is going to be providing the entertainment at the barbecue later in the week. That's great. Our next speaker is Bruno Monteiro. Bruno is a program director at Validity Foundation, really important NGO that does really important work for many years across many different jurisdictions. He has a background in international law and criminal justice, and he holds a master's in law from the University of Cambridge. He is currently responsible for multiple intersectional activities and initiatives that are related to disabled people, especially children and women, and access to justice in criminal proceedings, reparations and support, and many other things as well. There's a very detailed biography of Bruno's background and work in the programme, which you can read. So I'll hand you over to Bruno, who's going to come to the podium, and he's also going to give you a fun fact about himself. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Great. Thank you so much. First, first fun fact. Thank you, Charles. So I got two. One is, so for those that know me, especially my colleague, Jennifer, I'm very interested in technology, accessibility, and artificial intelligence, so I can talk your ear off on that. And the particular fun fact of it is, before I came to the conference, I was actually reading about that in connection to the work of Teresa, which for me is kind of like meeting my heroes. So it's really, really interesting. I hope I have a chance to talk at a later point. And the other fun thing is I'm terribly afraid of spiders. I really, really hate them. So as long as there's no one nearby, I think I'll be able to deliver the presentation. All right, and now before I start the presentation, there's another one, not so fun fact, is I know you were asked at the registration to fill out an additional form with which you had to give all sorts of personal data about your gender, disability, and it's all in connection to my participation in this panel, because we're using funds coming from the European Commission, and the European Commission likes to know exactly the particular characteristics of the audience. So, and all this data will not be shared with anyone other than the European Commission, strictly statistical purposes. And if at any point you're uncomfortable, you can all free to go back and cross out all the information. But thank you so much for your patience with that. Now, beginning my presentation. Let's see. Okay, great. So I think my presentation builds a lot on the testimonies and the presentations of previous speakers and previous panel, but also Sita as well. A lot of barriers and access to justice matters that women with intellectual or psychosocial disabilities face in criminal justice is connected to, well, they face different barriers. This includes legal barriers, and here all these legal barriers were very, very well covered in the previous panel. But there's a multitude of barriers actually that women face when accessing justice, especially in criminal justice. In my presentation, I'm going to talk about the findings of 3 different projects where we've learned and received different testimonies of women as defendants, women as victims of crime, especially of gender-based violence in institutions or other facilities and programs that aim to serve them. And here I hope that I can accurately give a synthesis of these findings, of especially the 43 women across different 9 European countries. You can find the list in the slide. We do have testimonies from Bulgaria, Czechia, Hungary, Lithuania, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Spain. So here, diverse experiences, especially centered in Southern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe. And to that end, we conducted a series of semi-structured interviews, focus groups. I'm not going to go too much into details of that, but of course, always feel free to ask at the end of the presentation. When it comes to access to justice, so I think Sita was brilliant to already give a representation of what access to justice means. I'll talk a little bit about what the UN CRPD expects to happen. So here, 3 particular aspects on access to justice under Article 13 is it is expected for member states to adopt the necessary measures to make access to justice effective, so that women and all persons with disabilities can exercise their right on an equal basis with others. And to that end, they should adopt, where necessary, procedural accommodations to facilitate their active participation in proceedings to the extent they would like to do so. Now, a preliminary question. Who knows what procedural accommodations is? Any idea? So one interesting finding is, like many of you, actually not a lot of justice professionals know that either. But I can tell you one of the definitions is procedural accommodations means the adoption of all necessary modifications within the context of the justice system to enable the person to participate in hearings. And here can be any modifications, and which is not tied to any constrictions around costs or proportionality. It is a right. Women and all persons with disabilities have the right to request them, and those should be granted. And these procedural accommodations are particularly important in the justice system, since it allows persons with disabilities, especially women, to overcome multiple barriers and discrimination that they face. And this is why Article 13 has to be read with Article 6 to ensure that the procedural accommodations that are adopted actually enables them to overcome the multiple barriers they might face. There also needs to be all sort of supportive measures to allow women to make decisions about their case. This is written in Article 12. Now, for these procedural accommodations to be effective, they need to be individualized. And they also be appropriate according to the particular type of disability and also to gender, and also must be available across the different proceedings. This is what is expected in principle and in law. Now, what happens in reality? So I think the panels already did great covering different barriers that women face when accessing justice. I copy paste to the slide some testimonies that we collected from women that share their story. For example, we have a woman with intellectual disabilities who was, even though she attempted to report sexual violence, the criminal justice professionals just didn't believe her. They just thought, well, it's all due to psychosis, and because of their disability, they just dismissed her view completely. Another testimony from a Hungarian woman, self-advocate, also shows again the risk they take the moment they even disclose the disability in the justice system. They feel like it's a double disadvantage, and there's very little understanding, especially from professionals, and even sometimes due to the context among their peers about what sexual education means and what's happening to their bodies and what's happening outside in general. And again, another testimony from a Portuguese woman. Again, it's we're finding their testimony themselves just finding less credible because of their disability. So these are already some gender and attitudinal barriers. It's important to take in consideration as well the other barriers, the contexts where victims come from, because a lot of them actually live in a very strong dependency situation, where either because they're living in an institution and they don't have the means or empowered just to make autonomous decisions about their lives. Their lives are completely controlled by the persons within the institutions, or could even be their family as well, which are very protective and does not encourage a lot of independent decision making. A lot of this is just some of the realities, but there's way more. Now, so I talked a bit of the barriers, some of the barriers that they encountered. This was not exhaustive. Now, if we do want then for criminal justice system for procedural accommodations to be adopted and to be individualized, the first thought tends to be, well, there needs to be some sort of assessment, at least, or understanding of what it means for the individual person. And we did cover, especially for women as victims, women as defendants, has this individual assessment happened? And if yes, what did it look like? So generally, it didn't happen much. And whenever individual assessment happens, it focused on one or even multiple of these three aspects. So the justice system, they're more concerned about their protection needs. So more about protecting the woman who was a victim of violence, which of course it is very, very important. But it neglected an understanding that of adoption of procedural accommodations themselves. They're more interested in looking at disability as a personal characteristic that made them more vulnerable to the which needed to be fixed somehow with the additional measures in the justice system. There was no coverage of what it means, this disability when interacting with the justice system and other environmental factors. That's completely neglected. And this understanding is actually exists not only in national law, but also exists in European Union law. This is propagated there as well. In the Victims' Rights Directive, which is a particular type of legislation here in the European Union. It's only pushed for criminal justice professionals to focus on these aspects only. Now, another important aspect is, which it applies especially for women who are defendants. So in addition to assessments of credibility, there's still assessments of their capacity to stand trial or to plea. So this, maybe for non-lawyers, here the justice professionals are more interested to know if the woman is able to understand the crime, the proceedings, and based on that, if if they're able to hold the person responsible for the crime. Now, what happens in practice whenever these declarations are made of someone's capacity to stand trial or not, what happens in practice is they end up being excluded from proceedings. At the moment that's declared, they generally have no right to procedural accommodations or right to a fair trial. Now, so this particular aspect, then it's already important just to give you a frame of how in the criminal justice they view about the right to procedural accommodations and what actually steps there are taken. So, and we found that in practice, then in all criminal procedure laws in all 9 EU countries, all of them had deficiencies in their laws in the sense of if individual assessment is supposed to be conducted or not. For victims, more or less, especially for protection measures. For defendants, there tends not to be any form of individual assessment other than to determine their capacity to stand trial or even their credibility. When it comes to, and this is an important aspect, is women with disabilities are generally not informed of a right to procedural accommodations. So even though it is expected across all 9 EU countries, according to international law, for them to be informed that you have the right to request this if you need so, this didn't happen. And generally, actually, from what we understood from some of the interviews, it's actually expected, professionals expect for the victims or women to have a more proactive role in actually requesting, which can be a very hard ask, especially because the experiencing with the justice system the first time can be very, very scary and very disempowering. A lot of the interviews from women, they expressed they felt fear, shame, very nervous about having to participate or say whatsoever. So actually expecting them to be very active advocates only, just put the burden all on them. I think that's unreasonable. So generally, whenever there's some sort of assessment happening to enable adoption procedural accommodations, it was more ad hoc. And actually, thanks to the wonderful work of very strong NGOs, like in Spain, in Portugal, who have the protocol with the professionals, who then perform that assessment for them and actually help them adopt procedural accommodations. And this is showed actually in the findings. Among the 43 women interviewed, there was only one case which we found that procedural accommodations were consistently adopted across the different proceedings. And this was in Spain, again, thanks to an NGO called Plena Inclusión, who were prepared and have different accessible documentation they could share with the women, and also thanks to the role of the intermediary, who is a communication professional who is there to support the court to facilitate any communication across the different proceedings. And sad to share as well, the overall experiences of women in criminal justice system, whether as victim as defendants, has been negative or at least mixed. This is especially the case for victims. So what does procedural accommodations mean exactly? So we talked a little bit about the definition, which can be a bit abstract. So I'm sharing here some examples, and also coming from quotes directly from women. For example, again, procedural accommodations have to be individualized. Here in Bulgaria, I'm going to read out a quote from a woman. Said, "Well, they, the police investigators, asked me if I understand, and I said yes. because I was embarrassed to say no. I was very nervous. I was not going to say anything if her therapist was not with her during the interrogations. So the procedural accommodation here was during the interrogation, the police and the judge allowed the therapist to sit next to her and provide emotional support. This was a good thing, or else, as the victim pointed out, they wouldn't have actually said anything. Then the other bit, which I'm not copy pasting here, then the police resumed to having a 7-hour straight interrogation without any breaks. So all the good work that they started at first, then it just kind of ruined more at the end. And I think the next quote is particularly powerful about what it means exactly, and to achieve acts to justice, procedural accommodations. I'm just going to read it out. So there have to be people who know how to listen, understand what humiliation is. Sometimes I wanted someone to hug me, to give me a little comfort. I never had that in my life. The problem is knowing how to listen, knowing how to understand. I'll follow with the question, but didn't you go and report it? Look, I completely understand why many women don't go and report it. They don't, because then it is worse. And that's we found a lot of the interviews, actually the act of reporting just makes their situation a lot worse without the proper support. Here, there's a list of other accommodations that are found beneficial, recommended by women, but also different professionals. Here, use of intermediaries can be very helpful for people with that face communication barriers. Again, having available information in different formats, especially in easy to read or plain language, depending on the needs of the person, can be very helpful. Again, this is something that I, as a lawyer, am guilty of, is avoiding as much legal jargon as possible and make sure to communicate in a way that's easier to understand and easy to understand for that person, right? Because there's no formula that applies to absolutely everyone. And it really helps, again, being accompanied by a person or even animal they trust. Sometimes even a comforting object can be of help. So I know my time is running out, but this is some general recommendations in general about to build accessible systems. And this is what we learned from our project, the Chat for Victims, is for it to work, and actually for there to be adoption of procedural accommodations, there needs to be actually a system in place. It cannot just be ad hoc reaction like the criminal justice systems currently operates. So that means professionals need to embrace multimodal communication, which is basically using a variety of methods to communicate, whether orally, whether writing, whether sign language, alternative or augmentative communication. All of that needs to be available. They need to be prepared to do so. And professionals need to be able to anticipate the diversity of that the person can bring. And I know I'm out of time. Sorry for that. But just to wrap up, then again, highlighting that professionals also must be flexible to be able to react to the individual person, and also give them the voice and space for their individual narratives, to actually to enable them to tell their story, present their evidence, and have control of their case, not being completely decided by lawyers or other criminal justice professionals. Always with the participation of women across the different stages of proceedings and implementation. Thank you so much. Sorry for going over time.
Great, thanks very much, Bruno. We'll take questions and answers at the end. Our final speaker is Abu Bakar Bangura. Abu is from Sierra Leone. He is the country representative of African Youth with Disabilities Network. He's worked for many years with the United Nations Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and he has led many research projects and initiatives related to access to justice. Abu's full biography is on the back of the programme, so you can read the full biography there. So I'm going to hand you over to Abu, who is going to give you a fun fact about himself, and then he's going to give his presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if this is... good afternoon. Good afternoon to you all. I'm an African. I think we love greetings. Yeah, okay, okay. We love greetings, so please, if I greet you and you don't answer me, I feel so bad. And I feel like crying, in fact. So do you want me to cry? I don't think so. Okay, thank you very much for these wonderful introductions. And my fun fact, right, first. I love exploring, actually, but I'm unlucky, to explore, especially when it comes to traveling. In 2018, I was here, and also in 2002, I attempted to be here, but I stopped in Dublin, watching the Disability Summer School from my phone because I passed through Turkey. I want to experience, Turkish Airways. So I was unlucky. And recently again, for this current trip, I was almost unlucky, but thank God that it turned out the other way. I traveled through Guinea. Guinea is a neighboring country to Sierra Leone, and I passed through the roads, and it was like, wow, I almost late for my flights. But thank God they postponed the flights again for me. So all the officials at the airport wanted to pity me. They've postponed this, and I was very happy that they postponed the flights so that I will be here this time round. So I think I'm very, very happy for that. And yeah, several speakers have laid a very solid foundation in terms of access to justice. For me, I will not go according to my presentation based on what I've come up. I don't want to repeat some of the things that have been said. But for Sierra Leone context, we ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability and domesticated it through the Sierra Leone Persons with Disability Act of 2011. And since then, our revolution changed about disability. The act encompasses a lot of stuff in terms of rights for persons with disability. But again, the rights made mention about strengthening institutions, establishment and strengthening of institutions, which for me, I will base my talk on access to justice, considering the home, considering our institutions, particularly the state institutions, which will be the drivers of ensuring access to justice, sustainable access to justice for all, and to the court system again. The court system again. And also, if you look at Sierra Leone context, we have what they call the localization that is taking place. Most of our functions from the central government have been devolved to the local councils. And for them to operate properly, especially in the provinces, you have to localize with cultures, traditional leaders must take their own space. We are in, you won't, as persons with disabilities, you won't be able to break through those barriers or those solid space at that local level if you don't belong to their cultural society, you don't belong to their tradition. It is very, very difficult. I'm saying this because last year we did a research on, we held an election in 2003, which is a bit controversial. They have some disagreement within the opposition and the government. But we are looking at how 2028 elections will be more better than 2023 elections. So we explore. And this year, again, we are doing a school-related gender-based violence research for children with disability, what their experiences to and from schools, and also within their communities. So based on that, we are able to understand that the gaps or access to justice cannot be considered only within the cities, within the big towns, within where you have the basic communities. No, but even those at the interior, it is very, very difficult. Like any other country, generally, we do have challenges, which is normal. Everybody is talking about challenges of justice based on your position, be it, financial challenge, be it connections, especially that for some of us that are coming from the developing countries. You have people of influence who take advantage over you. But when it comes to like Sierra Leone and persons with disability, we started having injustice as disabled people right at the home. There are most times we don't have that freedom and respect within our various homes, which is very, very difficult for us because it's all started about the acceptance of how our parents accept us, how fairly they can treat us with our siblings. These are challenges that some of us experience firsthand. For me as a disabled, for example, I was deeply loved by my father, but my mother had some doubt on me, But again, the community impacted her, I would say, for that actions to be taken. Because I recall, if you have a disabled child, and it's common, rural or neighborhood confusion or small, disagreements, they will start, throwing words to your kids with disability, and for us, they associate it with whether witchcraft, whether because of some, negative things, which sometimes tends for our parents to abandon us, and it is very, very serious in that, because if we are not built from the home, then there is no way you can be able to overcome future challenges or whatever barriers that is ahead of you. But if you have somebody who can console you, who can hug you as a child, which normal child even need, then you are there to resist. And now it comes to our institution. When we establish the Act, the Disability Act, as a result of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, the Act said we should have a National Commission for Persons with Disability. And we want these commissions to be functional. And I recall at that time, the previous government, we were like blocking the motorcade of the former president. You have to give us our commission. You have to do this. You have to do that. But again, these institutions responsible for the implementation of these documents, that if you read it, you understand that if everything in there implemented, I think we have less problem to talk about. But after establishment of these institutions, people tend to be doing otherwise. For example, in the Act, let me say for education, we have free education, I think it's Article 14, for persons with disability, right? For free tertiary education for persons with disability. And since this current government, they took power, like we started having some challenges about it, we've done all what we can because we are working with the Human Rights Commission, we are working with the UN country team as part of the UN PRPD, and we use all of these influence. So what happens? We have 2 law students, I think it was last year, and they're about to go in for their bar exams after taking classes for almost, mind you, they had the free tertiary educations at university. Government spent lots of money on them based on the scholarship given to them. Now, they're about to go in for their law because you have to go to law school before you'll be able to practice in Sierra Leone. Like at the point of their exam, they said, no, we can't allow you except you pay fee. These guys went to this institution established, namely the National Commission for Persons with Disability. They went to the Ministry of Higher Education. They went to all institutions concerned. They were unable to make their way. So they came to us. And looking at the act, looking at every legal thing around education, the commission is the one responsible. So we told them that, look, we are not going anywhere anymore. Let's go direct to the commission so that they should take us where they're supposed to take us. And we went there. And that's where sometimes, or most times, we have problems with state institutions as organization of persons with disability. Oh, you have to come to us. You have the ministry, you have no. But according to the act, they will give you this, they will give you that. But for us, we know that the act mandated you to handle this situation. You lead us. Just about 3 days. But before that, we even called for a protest against the commission, saying you are undermining government. This is not against government, but it's against your institutions. That prompted the executive secretary to move to the Ministry of Higher Education. And just for his presence, just one move, for something that they have been struggling with for over 6 months, they just assigned one of the directors of the Ministry of Higher Education to the Sierra Leone Law School. And they were allowed. So simple. And today, these guys are practicing as lawyers in Sierra Leone. So these are some of the injustices we are facing. Now, we are reviewing the acts in Sierra Leone. And interestingly, on the validation stage, they invited few people with disabilities. And we said, how can you revive acts? There are established, structured organization of persons with disabilities without their knowledge, without their consent. Again, it was a huge fight. But finally, again, because that review was done through the United Nations Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disability, which I told, because the head of the human rights advisor of the UN country team is also in charge of disability within the UN in Sierra Leone. So like I told them, we cannot be as part of this partnership, and we are seeing the law reversing instead of progressing. So there is no way we can stay here. It is either two things. These things need to be looked at, or we quit, because it's like this partnership is not helping us. That's the time, like, he made several efforts, reach out to the consultant, in fact, to establish the facts. It was very, very difficult. Now, thank God, the new minister has accepted through those efforts for them to reopen the validation again so that we can see what is inside the reviewed act. Because for the first act, they didn't capture women with disabilities, because we need specific clauses for women with disabilities or sections. Children with disabilities were not captured. So all of these are going to be captured when we have the reopening of this. And now, if you look at, again, our justice system, the court system itself, the court system, which is, is so disheartening sometimes, because I witness it. We are in going to the courts, like sometimes the attitude of judges or magistrates, they will come court-rise. They don't care whether disabled people are there. I said court-rise. Well, I don't want to know whether you are disabled or not. I've experienced it firsthand in our court system. So that is the attitude. Is a huge challenge that we are having in that country for now, which we need. And the most important thing is that if you are visually impaired or you are an hearing impaired, you don't have justice within our court system as it is. This is something we've amplified with all institutions necessary, but up to now we are still having some barriers. For example, those who are lawyers talks about the rules of evidence. In Sierra Leone, they said the rules of evidence, or we said the rules of evidence, you must see and you must hear. You know, how can, so discriminatory? People cannot see, but they know whom they are in contact with. They identify them. People cannot hear, but they also know. And for us to have that respect and freedom, I think we need justice. You know, we really need justice because these people has been violated. I recall a court case between it was an electioneering case. Somebody registered twice, an hearing impaired person. You know, just because informations are not put into formats, accessible formats. So, like spending a week at the police station, another week at the maximum center and prison, then they finally realize that the person is hearing impaired. And the police officer and the prosecutor were arguing, is this person a partial or hearing impaired? You know, that's the time. But it was all based because we were told deeply that it was all based on sympathy. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, they will ask, is this person, can this person see? Can this person hear? You know, I was here in 2018 with somebody, a visually impaired, who was beaten by his wife. And he took the matter to court. You know, believe you me, they settled that thing based on sympathy. Because that was the woman's lawyer argument that, did he see? You know, for me, sitting at that court, and somebody, you know well that this person is not sane, but just because it's a law, just because you want to win the case, when you ask the person again, do you see? It's insulting and painful, you know. So these are some of the things that we are looking at and making sure that we want to overcome. So over the years, what we've been doing is to try to identify these challenges, especially to state institutions, that we've been doing a lot of work with the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone and even support from the UN. But we need reformations within our court system so that some of these things can be handled and it can help us, you know. However, we still accept that there are progress made because we have some of the courts. Of course, we have sign language interpreters now in some of our courts and courtrooms, and also the review of this act, which government is now reopening and which will help us a lot. I think looking at the general view of how best we can be able to move is that most times we are working with different partners, both local and international. Some of them are smarter enough, like if you initiate something, they won't leave you behind in the implementation. But by the time they have like something for you, they have information from you or organization of persons with disability, then you can see them doing something that you think this thing was initiated by us, but it is not going the way we want it to go. That's another huge challenge that we are facing with, you know. And I think I'm afraid of timing, so I don't want my timekeeper to what. But I want to thank the university for giving us, it's because of their patience, honestly. Communication challenge, you know, it is difficult to come here, but because of your challenge. And one thing that I would like to conclude with is that for us, this summit is like part of our work. We are here 2002. I think at the time the theme was disability, the age of crisis, something, and climate change, you know. So like what we did, we pushed because we had no research done on climate change, you know, in Sierra Leone for persons with disability. But on Thursday, in partnership with Sightsavers International and Global Irish Aid, we were able to validate a research done so that we can be able to get a smooth ride. So this opportunity is very great for us. We are very, very happy. Thank you very much. God bless you all.